Have you ever read the book or watched the movie A Walk to Remember by Nicholas Sparks? In the book, the main character, Jamie Sullivan, 17-year-old with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, the most common form of childhood cancer. In the end, she dies. The book was set in 1958, 4 years prior to the formation of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee. Cancer has affected each and every one of us, whether it be a loved one, a family member, or a friend. I have a personal connection with St. Jude. My little sister was diagnosed with cancer when she was 8 years old, acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Today I'm going to talk to you about why St. Jude was formed, how it has affected the fate of children, and how it is run today. Danny Thomas was a struggling entertainer and comedian trying to find his way. With only $7 to his name, he attended Mass and gave all of the money that he had to offering. Once he realized what he had done, he then prayed to St. Jude, the saint of hopeless causes. Thomas made a vow to him that if he helped him find his way, that he would build a shrine in his honor. After he revisited Mass and made a commitment later to St. Jude, he then finally had his prayer answered. He met Uncle Abe. He would be his agent. He helped him get on the radio, have his own radio show, the Danny Thomas Show. He was then a star. He revisited St. Clement's Church, and he renewed his promise to St. Jude. In the book, From His Promise, Danny said about the visit to St. Clement, "I lit a candle before the marble statue of St. Clement, and then I looked closer at the statue. My hair stood on end. What I had assumed was the statue of St. Clement wasn't at all. It was St. Jude. I was dumbfounded. It was the most awe-inspiring moment of my life. I started to think about St. Jude, what he'd done for me, and the vow I made to him in return. The time had come to fulfill the promise." He told Uncle Abe about his promise that he had made to him. He encouraged him to take action and to follow through. In 1950, he met Cardinal Stitch, who helped him establish plans. Early on, Danny said that he would build a shrine for needy children, regardless of age, race, or religion. In 1951, Danny and Abe formed St. Jude Hospital Foundation of California. The purpose was to raise money to build the clinic. Cardinal Stitch encouraged Danny to set his goal higher and instead build a hospital. He asked him to consider Memphis, and thus Danny set his sights on Memphis. The problem was there was not enough need for another children's hospital in Memphis, Tennessee. An advisory board was formed despite no need. Dr. Diggs, professor of medicine at University of Tennessee, Memphis, head of the Department of Hematology, and the only doctor involved in study of leukemia and sickle cell anemia, said to change the focus and instead focus on the study of childhood catastrophic diseases. It would be for anyone in the United States and eventually the world, and it would give information that they gathered through research to everyone in the medical community. It would be the first of its kind. St. Jude would change the fate that children had previously had with cancer, the prognosis of cancer. In 1960, Medical Advisory Board hired Dr. Pinkel, 34-year-old renowned oncologist. He set out to fulfill Danny Thomas's philosophy that no child should die in the dawn of light. In 1962, St. Jude opened. The cure rate at that time was 4% for acute lymphoblastic leukemia, which is the most common form of childhood cancer. Here you can see that St. Jude now, the survival rate is 94%. At the time, 95 out of 100 stricken would die. Dr. Pinkel said no one should have to pay. He began finding doctors, clinical researchers, and biomedical researchers who would find the drugs that they needed to find the cure. American, Lebanese, Syrian Associated Charities would fund what they needed to run the hospital. St. Jude cost over $4 million, $1 million a day to run St. Jude Children's Hospital. It is run solely on fundraising. My sister had acute lymphoblastic leukemia. She has been in remission now for almost 10 years and continues to fight. Without St. Jude, she may not be here today.